is there any chance of us seeing Klaus and Hayley's baby in season 2?
Yeah, absolutely. Not at the beginning. The baby is obviously in a lot of danger. Esther is back among the living, and they don't know what that means, so they cannot have that baby anywhere near New Orleans for right now. So Rebecca has taken the baby, and she is off wherever she is, and so it'll be a little bit of a while, but we will see the baby again, and we will see Rebecca again.
Okay.
What will losing the baby and having to ship her off do to Hayley?
I think Hayley is going to be a mess. The thing to remember is not only did she choose to carry this baby to term and have the baby and want the baby, but then she had to give up the baby in order to protect her. And she herself was killed and reborn as a hybrid. And on top of that, her connection to her werewolf people, that was something she was looking for all season long. She finally got it. She finally felt like she had built a home with these people in the bayou. She was a little bit like their unofficial queen. They were starting to respect her as a leader. And then she was reborn as a hybrid, and now they all look at her as a vampire, so she's no longer their queen, she's actually their enemy. So not only did she lose her baby and have to give up her baby, but she doesn't know what this means for her relationship to Klaus, what it means with her relationship to Elijah, and what it means with her relationship to these werewolves. So she's in a really difficult position. She's trying to figure out who she is, and what she decides is, if I'm ever going to ensure that my baby will be safe, then I have to make peace in New Orleans. I have to eliminate the threat of Esther. And right now, Esther and Francesca are totally in control of my werewolf people. So I have to lead my people out of enforced slavery. I have to get them back under my control. And I don't know how I'm going to do that because they won't listen to me because I'm a vampire. So she's got this whole big kind of Moses journey that she's going to go on, and it's going to be very difficult. That's going to be where she's at.
I was curious, how did you, it seems like you guys almost seamlessly went in from, being a spin-off show, just having your own gig. I mean, you didn't seem to rely too heavily on the Vampire Diaries, which I would think would have happened, especially for the first few episodes, but it seems like you guys really just dove in and created your own unique show. Was that a challenge to do in the beginning?
That's a really nice compliment, and I appreciate that, and I know Julie appreciates that. It's the brilliance of Julie Pleck. She knew that on Vampire Diaries we had introduced this amazing family of original vampires. Before there were vampires, there were the original vampires. And she said, if we're going to tell a story about them, they had a history that stretches back even before Stefan and Damon. They had a history that goes back to when they became vampires and everything that happened in between the year 1000 and the present. So we wanted to really draw on that stuff, and that's where the idea for Marcel came up. And once we hit upon that, we started to play with the notion of how would Marcel have risen to power in New Orleans, and that gave us the idea of this mystery girl, Davina, and then the witches, and why would the witches want to bring in someone that could take down Marcel? So right away, we had this very complicated mythology, even from the point where we were pitching the series. Factor into that the complex relationship between Klaus and his siblings, Elijah, Rebecca having a storied history with Marcel. There's just so much stuff to explore. We didn't really feel like we needed to go back to Vampire Diaries mythology. And there's great stuff to explore there too. Klaus has a friendship with Stefan. Klaus had a whole big long, relationship with Caroline. There's all kinds of interesting stuff. But for right now, the most important thing in Klaus's life is his child, and directly related to that is the threat of his mother and the threat of his father, which he doesn't even know about yet. So. What else? Come on, let's go. What are you guys doing?
Family is such an important, subject in the Klaus's world,
yes.
Obviously. And we kind of had a little deterioration of that relationship in almost the end of the episode, but then he came back. So can you explore a little bit more, or give us a little teaser about what will happen in the next season with any further family relations, how to mend that?
Yeah.
Because it's
the whole point of bringing back Klaus's abusive father and Klaus's manipulative mother is to begin to understand where Klaus came from, where Elijah came from, where Rebecca came from. Like, these were, normal people. They had fled the plagues in Europe, and they'd come to the New World, because Heinrich, Klaus's youngest brother, died on a full moon from a werewolf attack, Michael was outraged and said, we are going to turn our family into something the world has never seen before. I will never allow another of my children to die. We will become vampires. He forced his wife to do this, and she turned her children into abominations. And once Klaus killed for the first time, just how much of an abomination he was came to light when his hybrid bloodline was revealed. And that destroyed the family because Michael realized he had been cuckolded, Esther had betrayed him, and he went and he slaughtered the true father of Klaus. All of that stuff has had a huge impact on his family, and for 1,000 years, Klaus has been paranoid, he has felt unloved, he has felt that he is different, that he's the bastard. He's never really believed that Elijah and Rebecca truly love him, even though they have showed him nothing but commitment. And now that very person who's hunted and hated Klaus and called him a monster and called him a bastard and chosen to belittle him and say that he's not worthy of being a Michelson, he is back. What is that going to do to Klaus? At the same time, we know from Vampire Diaries, Esther thinks that she made a mistake by making her family into vampires, and that they have lived for 1,000 years feeding on people and slaughtering innocent people, and it's horrible. She's watched this from the other side, and now that she is back, she's going to have a definitive stance on what to do to her children. And on Vampire Diaries, she was trying to kill them, just to end it. And on our show, she's going to have a slightly different tactic. She's going to want to get rid of vampires, but she's going to have a different solution to what to do. And she's going to recognize that she played a part in this, and so she has to do something to make up for what she's done. So she's going to be a little bit more of the mother who tells you, this is the way things are, and I'm going to force you to be a better person, even against your own likings or to what you would want to have happen. So Esther's going to have a different agenda than Michael, but also just as difficult for our heroes to kind of deal with.
We can expect Rebecca back. Rebecca's coming back for the next season.
Yeah, we will not start the season with Rebecca back in New Orleans. But there will be a point in the season where our heroes know that they have to get Rebecca's help, and they have to go to Rebecca and figure out a way to work with her to do what's right for the baby. Without giving too much away, we will see Rebecca again, we will see Claire Holt again, and they will have to work with her in order to figure out how to protect Hope.